The twin moons of Third Earth cast silver light across Hook Mountain's terraced slopes, where the Burbles had lived in peace for generations. Their village hummed with the gentle whir of machinery and the softer sounds of evening. Metal tools being cleaned, crops being gathered, the laughter of young ones playing among the ancient stone foundations their ancestors had built upon. The Burbles had long ago learned that survival on Third Earth required equal parts kindness and vigilance, but tonight the boundary between peace and catastrophe dissolved in fire. The sky tore open. Not metaphorically, not gradually. The very fabric of reality ripped apart above Hook Mountain, with a sound like thunder trapped inside a bell. A burning streak of gold and crimson plummeted through the dimensional wound, wreathed in flames that burned colors no Third Earth fire had ever produced. The meteor, if it could be called that, screamed across the sky with such violence that trees bent away from its passage, their leaves igniting from the heat. Burbles scattered, their optical senses wide with terror, as the object struck the mountainside with enough force to crack stone and send shockwaves rippling through the earth. In the aftermath of impact, silence. Then, from within the smoking crater, laughter. Bear Bill, elder craftsman of the Burble village, approached the impact site with the cautious steps of someone who'd survived encounters with both mutants and Momra's magic. What he found defied every sensor reading his cybernetic components could provide. Lying in the center of molten stone, completely unharmed and grinning like destruction itself, was a figure that shouldn't exist. Sun Wukong, the Monkey King, sat up and stretched as though waking from an afternoon nap, rather than surviving re-entry through dimensions. His golden eyes surveyed Third Earth with the casual interest of someone who'd seen 1,000 worlds and found them all equally amusing. The circlet on his brow, placed there by Buddha himself to bind his chaos, pulsed with residual energy from the dimensional crossing. His armor, red and gold and impossibly intricate, bore not a single scratch despite the violence of his arrival. Well, Wukong said, in a voice that carried the weight of immortality and the lightness of eternal mischief, "This is new." He stood, and as he did, his hand moved in a gesture that seemed almost lazy. From within the crater, or perhaps from nowhere at all, a staff materialized. The Rui Jingu Bang, the legendary pillar stolen from the Dragon King's palace, hummed with power as it shifted from the size of a needle to a massive pillar before shrinking to a perfect fighting staff. Wukong spun it once, and the air itself seemed to flinch. Bear Bill managed, his vocal synthesizer struggling with the appropriate tone. "Welcome to Third Earth?" Wukong's grin widened. "Third Earth? Is that what you call it?" He looked around, taking in the twin moons, the strange architecture of ancient ruins visible in the distance, the peculiar blend of magic that saturated the very air. Interesting. Very interesting. He sniffed, and his expression shifted to something between curiosity and recognition. Old magic here. Really old. Not quite like the celestial realm, but... He tapped his staff against the ground, and Bear Bill's sensors detected a pulse of energy that shouldn't have been possible. "Yes, I could work with this." Are you injured?" Bear Bill asked, though his sensors clearly showed the impossible truth. This being had survived what should have killed anything living 1,000 times over. "Injured." Wukong laughed, the sound echoing across the Hook Mountain. "Friend, I've been crushed under mountains, burned in furnaces for 49 days, drowned in celestial wine, and beheaded more times than I can remember. This," he gestured at the crater, "this was a pleasant trip." The Monkey King stepped out of the impact. zone with the grace of a martial artist and the confidence of someone who knew, truly knew, that nothing in this world or any other could permanently harm him. He'd earned his immortality 5 times over, through different means. His name erased from the book of life and death, the peaches of immortality consumed, the pills of Lao Tzu stolen and eaten, his mastery of Taoist arts, and the Buddha's own recognition. Death itself had given up trying to claim him. So, Wukong said, planting his staff in the ground and leaning on it with theatrical casualness, "What kind of place is this third earth? Any good fights? Powerful beings? Arrogant gods who need humbling?" His grin took on a predatory edge. "Any kings who think they're special?" Before Robert Bill could formulate a response that wouldn't immediately lead to disaster, the sound of approaching engines cut through the night. The Burble's optical sensors picked up the distinctive profile of ThunderCats' vehicles. The Thunder Tank's massive frame rolling across the terrain, with Lion-O's distinctive red mane visible in the moonlight. "Oh," Robert Bill said quietly, his circuits suddenly filled with a sense of impending catastrophe. "This is going to be complicated." Wukong's eyes tracked the approaching vehicles with interest, his supernatural senses already cataloging the power signatures he detected. "Friends of yours." "Allies," Robert Bill corrected. "The ThunderCats. They protect Third Earth from..." "Protect." Wukong's expression shifted to something unreadable. "From what? And more importantly..." His staff spun in his hands, and for just a moment, Robert Bill saw the warrior who had fought the armies of heaven and made the gods themselves negotiate. Who asked them to? The Thunder Tank rolled to a stop at the crater's edge, and Lion-O, Lord of the ThunderCats, emerged with the Sword of Omens gleaming in his hand. Behind him, Tigra, Panthro, and Chitara took defensive positions, their trained instincts recognizing a threat, even if they couldn't yet quantify it. "Burbles," Lion-O called out, his voice carrying the authority of leadership earned through trial and tragedy. "Are you harmed? We detected the impact from Cat's lair." "We're fine, Lord Lion-O," Robert Bill replied, but his attention remained fixed on Wukong, whose grin had transformed into something that promised chaos. "But we have a visitor." Lion-O's eyes fixed on the Monkey King, and the Sword of Omens pulsed in his hand. Not with warning, but with something else. Recognition. Question. The Eye of Thunderer seemed to be trying to categorize something it had never encountered before. Wukong looked at the sword, then at Lion-O, then threw back his head and laughed. "Oh, this is going to be fun," the Monkey King said, his voice carrying across a Hook Mountain like a promise, or a threat. "Tell me, young lion, do you actually expect me to bow? If you want to see more characters enter different universes, hit that subscribe button and drop the name of a character and the universe you'd want to see them in down in the comments below. Thunder, thunder, thunder. ThunderCats, ho! The wind picked up, carrying the scent of ozone and possibility. On Third Earth, where magic and technology had fought for supremacy for ages, where ancient prophecies guided the destinies of heroes and villains alike, something new had arrived. Something that recognized no prophecy, respected no authority, and would never, could never, be bound by anyone's rules but its own. Sun Wukong, the great sage equal to heaven, had come to Third Earth, and Third Earth would never be the same. Lion-O descended from the Thunder Tank with the measured confidence of a leader who'd faced demons, sorcerers, and armies. The Sword of Omens hummed in his grip, its eye pulsing with light that seemed uncertain, as though the ancient artifact itself was trying to understand what stood before it. Tigra flanked left, his whip coiled and ready. Panthro's nunchucks gleamed in the moonlight to the right. Chitara's staff was already in motion, her enhanced speed allowing her to position herself for any threat. They were the ThunderCats, defenders of Third Earth, warriors bound by the code of Thunderer. They had never faced anything quite like Sun Wukong. "I am Lion-O, Lord of the ThunderCats," Lion-O announced, his voice carrying the weight of nobility and responsibility. "You've entered Third Earth with considerable force. State your intentions." Wukong tilted his head, studying Lion-O with eyes that had witnessed the rise and fall of celestial dynasties. "Lord," the word dripped with amusement. "You're what, 25, 30? I was old when your ancestors were still figuring out which end of a spear to hold." He twirled his staff lazily. "And you want to know my intentions?" "We protect this world," Tigra interjected, his tactical mind already calculating angles of attack, "from threats both magical and protect." Wukong interrupted, his grin sharpening. "From what I'm sensing, this world has plenty of threats already prowling around. A decrepit mummy playing dress-up in a pyramid. Lizard people with delusions of competence. Various other unpleasant types." He sniffed the air. "And something darker. Much darker. Ancient things that think they're gods." Chitara's eyes narrowed. "How could you possibly know?" "Because I've dealt with actual gods," Wukong said simply. "The real kind. The ones who sit in jade palaces and drink wine made from stars and think the universe owes them obedience." His voice dropped, taking on an edge that made even Panthro's mechanical arm whir defensively. "I made them recognize me as their equal. The Jade Emperor himself had to negotiate with me." "Impossible," Tigra said flatly. Wukong's response was to leap, not jump, but move through space in a way that defied Third Earth's physics entirely. One moment he stood in the crater. The next he was atop the thunder tank, balancing on one foot on the vehicle's cannon, his staff resting casually across his shoulders. The ThunderCats spun, weapons raised, but he hadn't attacked. He'd simply moved to make a point. "Your turn," Wukong said cheerfully. "Show me what the Lord of the ThunderCats can do." Lion-O's jaw tightened. "We're not here to fight you." "Then why the weapons?" Wukong interrupted. "Why the defensive formation? Why the authority in your voice, like you expect me to fall in line?" He hopped down from the thunder tank, landing without sound. "Let me save us all some time. I don't serve kings. I don't follow lords. I don't bow to anyone. Not emperors, not Buddhas, and definitely not children playing at leadership on a backwater world. This backwater world has survived threats you can't imagine," Panthro growled, his deep voice carrying warning. "Really?" Wukong's eyes lit up with genuine interest. "Then tell me about them. Not the speeches. The truth. What makes this Third Earth so special that it needs lords and codes and swords that glow?" He gestured at the Sword of Omens, which pulsed brighter in response. "And what's that thing trying to tell you about me?" Lion-O glanced at the sword, feeling its pull. Against his better judgment, against protocol, he spoke the words that had guided him through countless dangers. "Sword of Omens, give me sight beyond sight." The eye of Thundera opened. What Lion-O saw made him stumble backward. Visions crashed through his mind. A monkey warrior fighting armies in heaven, defeating celestial generals, stealing artifacts of unimaginable power, being crushed beneath a mountain for 500 years, and emerging unchanged. defying death itself through sheer audacity and skill. He saw a being who had eaten immortality like fruit, who had erased his name from death's ledger, who had made the gods themselves afraid. And beneath it all, he saw something that terrified him more than the power. Wukong couldn't be controlled. Not by magic, not by force, not by destiny itself. He was chaos given form, freedom weaponized, and he had just arrived on a world already balanced on a knife's edge. Lion-O's eyes snapped open, and Wukong was grinning at him. "See something interesting?" the Monkey King asked. Lion-O struggled for words. "You're not evil. The sword doesn't show you as a threat to Third Earth itself, but you're also not good," Wukong finished. "Evil, light or dark, order or chaos." He laughed. "I'm Sun Wukong. I'm whatever I choose to be in any given moment. That's what freedom means." He planted his staff in the ground. "And that's what scares you, isn't it? You've got your codes and your honor and your clear lines between right and wrong. I don't care about any of that." "Then what do you care about?" Chitara asked, her voice cutting through the tension with genuine curiosity rather than accusation. Wukong's expression shifted, becoming something almost thoughtful. "Good fights, worthy opponents, protecting those who can't protect themselves when I feel like it. Humbling the arrogant, defying the inevitable." He met each of their eyes in turn. "That's never, ever being caged again." "We're not trying to cage you," Lion-O said carefully. "Not yet," Wukong corrected, "but you will. Or you'll try. They always do. The powerful meet the unpredictable and immediately think, how do we control this?" He shrugged. Usually doesn't end well for them. Before Lion-O could respond, Robert Bill's sensors began blaring warnings. Energy signatures approaching from the west. Multiple hostiles. The distinctive roar of mutant skimmers echoed across Hook Mountain, and Slythe's hissing voice carried on the wind. Well, well, what have we here?" Wukong's grin returned, sharp and eager. "Now this is more like it." 3 mutant skimmers cut through the night air, their engines whining with poorly maintained fury. Slythe led the formation, his reptilian eyes fixed on the crater and its impossible occupant. Behind him, Monkian whooped with aggressive enthusiasm, while Jackalman's nervous laughter suggested he already regretted coming. Vultureman's craft hung back, sensors scanning, calculating. "That's no ordinary meteor," Slythe hissed as his skimmer descended. "Look at the energy readings here. Whatever crashed here has power." Wukong watched them approach with the interest of a cat, observing particularly stupid mice. "Friends of yours?" he asked Lion-O without taking his eyes off the mutants. "Hardly," Lion-O replied, moving into defensive formation with his team. "They serve their own interests, mercenaries and raiders." "Ah." Wukong's grin widened. "My kind of people." The skimmers landed in a semicircle, weapons pointed at both the ThunderCats and the Monkey King. Slythe slithered down from his craft, his armor glinting in the moonlight. "We claim this impact site. Whatever technology fell from the sky belongs to us. "I'm not technology," Wukong said cheerfully. Slythe's forked tongue flickered as he studied the strange figure. "You're not Thunderian, not from any species I know. What are you?" "Sun Wukong, the Monkey King, great sage equal to heaven, havoc in heaven, the enlightened stone monkey." He ticked off titles on his fingers. "I've got about 72 more, but we'd be here all night." Monkian laughed. the sound harsh and mocking. Monkey. You just another dumb ape. Monkey man. The temperature around Wukong seemed to drop. His smile remained, but something predatory entered his golden eyes. What did you just call me? Lion-O recognized the shift immediately. He'd seen it in warriors pushed too far. Stand down, he called to the mutants. This isn't worth, Monkian charged, his massive fists swinging with the subtlety of an avalanche. Wukong didn't move until the last possible instant, then simply tilted his head. Monkian's punch passed through empty air as the Monkey King flickered. Not teleported, not jumped. Simply wasn't where he'd been. He reappeared behind Monkian, tapped him on the shoulder, and when the mutant spun around, Wukong was already back in his original position. You're slow, Wukong observed, and your technique is terrible. Who taught you to fight? Monkian roared and charged again. This time, Wukong caught both fists in his hands, stopping the mutants' momentum completely, despite their size difference. Monkian strained, muscles bulging, face contorting with effort. Wukong held him effortlessly with one hand while examining his own fingernails with the other. Boring, Wukong declared, then flicked Monkian's forehead with one finger. The casual gesture sent the mutant flying backward 30 feet to crash into his skimmer with enough force to crumple the metal. Monkian didn't get up. Jackalman raised his weapon, some kind of energy rifle, and Wukong's staff blurred. The rifle disintegrated into component pieces before Jackalman could pull the trigger. The mutant stared at his empty hands, then at Wukong, who was now holding the rifle's power cell. Crude, Wukong said, crushing the cell like a grape, but functional. Vultureman's sensors had been recording everything. His analytical mind reached the correct conclusion instantly. Slithe, retreat, now. But Sleeth's pride had been engaged. No, we take what we... The sword of omens pulsed violently in Lion-O's hand, interrupting the standoff. Not with warning, with revelation. The eye of Thundera projected an image into the air above them, shimmering and translucent but unmistakable. Ancient script that none of them could read, except it wasn't meant to be read. It was meant to be felt. Prophecy. Wukong's expression transformed from amusement to annoyance, to outright anger in the space of a heartbeat. Oh no, not this. Again. The image shifted, showing a figure that might have been Wukong standing at a crossroads of destiny, paths branching before him, each one leading to some grand cosmic significance. The kind of prophecy that Third Earth ran on. Heroes foretold, villains destined, the eternal struggle between light and dark. No, Wukong said, flatly. The sword pulsed again, the prophecy becoming more insistent. Images of Third Earth's future flickered past. Wukong standing with heroes, Wukong falling to darkness, Wukong as savior, Wukong as destroyer, Wukong as the pivot point upon which everything would turn. I said, no. Wukong's staff slammed into the ground, and the shockwave scattered everyone, ThunderCats and mutants alike, like leaves. The prophetic vision shattered like glass, fragments dissolving into nothing. Lion-O stared in shock. How did you... The sword of omens shows truth, shows destiny. Destiny, Wukong spat the word like poison, is for people who don't have the strength to make their own choices. He pointed his staff at the sword. You think you're the first magical artifact to try this? I've been the subject of prophecies, predictions, and cosmic plans for centuries. Heaven itself tried to bind me to destiny. His grin returned, wild and defiant. I burned their charts. I broke their wheels. I proved that free will beats fate every single time. But the Book of Omens, Tigra began. Can predict whatever it wants, Wukong interrupted. Doesn't mean I have to play along. I didn't come to Third Earth to fulfill anyone's prophecy or serve anyone's grand design. I came here by accident, and I'll leave when I feel like it. Until then? He spun his staff, and it shifted size with each rotation. Massive, tiny, perfect. I'll do whatever I want. Slythe, ever the opportunist, even in confusion, saw his chance. Then join us, says. No destiny, no master scissors. We take what we want. Tempting, Wukong admitted, and Lion-O tensed. But you're boring. And weak. And you called my friend here a dumb ape. He gestured at Monkion's unconscious form. I don't work with people who can't tell the difference between power and posturing. Then what will you do? Chitara asked. Wukong's answer was immediate. Whatever amuses me. Word count, 1,000. Awaiting continue. Not more than 1,000 words. 2. PM. Reconciled narrative continuity while plotting escalating chaos and consequences. The user wants me to continue the story with Section 4. They've specified not more than 1,000 words. Let me check the outline. Mercenaries and monkeys. The mutants attempt to recruit the Monkey King as their ultimate weapon against the ThunderCats, leading to chaotic misunderstandings. Wait, we already did the mutant encounter in Section 3. Let me look at the outline again. The monkey falls from heaven. Done, no king, no master. Done, the sword sees truth. Done, mercenaries and monkeys. This should be next, but we already covered the mutant encounter. The standoff fractured into absurdity as only Wukong's presence could manage. Vulture Man's analytical processes were still calculating threat levels when the Monkey King vanished from sight. Not invisibility, actual movement too fast for eyes to track. He reappeared on Vulture Man's skimmer, examining the controls with genuine curiosity. Interesting, Wukong muttered, tapping instruments. Primitive propulsion, but the energy conversion is clever. Wasteful, but clever. He pulled a wire and the skimmer's engine died instantly. Needs work, though. Get off my craft, Vultureman shrieked, spreading his mechanical wings. Wukong patted him on the head like a child. You should really upgrade this. I've seen better engineering from... He paused mid-sentence, his supernatural senses detecting something. His gaze turned toward the Burbil village, where Robert Bill and his kin were attempting to shelter the youngest members. Ah, those are the actual innocents here, aren't they? Without waiting for answer, Wukong somersaulted through the air, landing among the burbles with impossible grace. The robot cyborgs flinched, but the Monkey King simply knelt before a young burble child, his expression softening into something almost gentle. Don't be afraid, little builder, Wukong said quietly. I've got no quarrel with peaceful folk. But you attacked Monkian, the young burble said, optical sensors wide. That was different. He attacked first, and he was rude. Wukong's grin returned. I'm chaotic, not cruel, usually. He produced something from nowhere, a peach that glowed with soft golden light. Clearly not from Third Earth. Here, it's not one of the immortal ones, but it's still pretty good. The young burble took it hesitantly, and Robert Bill's sensors detected energy readings that shouldn't exist. What is that? Payment for your hospitality, Wukong replied, standing. Your village feeds travelers and asks nothing in return. That deserves respect. Lion-O watched this exchange with growing confusion. Wukong had just shattered a prophecy, humiliated the mutants, and rejected all authority, yet showed gentleness to children. The sword of omens pulsed, trying to categorize this being into its understanding of light and dark, and finding the task impossible. "You're contradicting yourself," Tigra observed, weapon still half raised. "No," Wukong corrected. "I'm being consistent. I do what I want, when I want, based on what feels right to me in the moment. Sometimes that means protecting the weak. Sometimes it means humbling the proud. Sometimes," he looked directly at Slythe, "it means teaching lessons to those who prey on others." Slythe's tactical mind finally caught up with the situation. This being was too powerful to control, too chaotic to predict, and apparently possessed some kind of moral code that didn't align with anyone's expectations. "Vulture Man, Jackalman, retrieve Monkeyan. We're leaving." "Smart lizard," Wukong called after them. "Come back when you've learned some manners." As the mutants retreated with their wounded, Lion-O faced the Monkey King with new understanding and new concern. "You saved the burbles, fought those who would harm them. By the code of Thunderer, that makes you..." "Nothing," Wukong interrupted firmly. "It makes me nothing in your code. I didn't help them because of honor, or duty, or destiny. I helped them because I wanted to." He met Lion-O's eyes with startling intensity. "That's the difference between us, young lord. You do good because you believe you must. I do good, when I do it, because I choose to. And tomorrow, I might choose differently." "That's not how," Panthro started. "How what? How heroes work." Wukong laughed. "I'm not a hero. Never claimed to be. I'm the great sage equal to heaven who achieved enlightenment and still decided chaos was more fun. I'm the monkey who ate immortality, defied death, and proved that rules are suggestions for those strong, enough to ignore them." Chitara stepped forward, her speed allowing her to position herself between Wukong and Lion-O without seeming aggressive. "If you're not a hero and not a villain, what are you?" "Free," Wukong said simply. "Absolutely, completely, eternally free." The word hung in the air like a challenge to everything Third Earth stood for. This was a world of ancient codes and prophecies, where heroes followed honor and villains pursued power, where destiny guided all things toward cosmic balance. Wukong's very existence threatened that structure, not through evil, but through pure, uncompromising freedom. Far away in the depths of the Black Pyramid, Mom-Ra the ever-living stirred from meditation. His ancient senses had detected the dimensional breach, felt the clash of powers on Hook Mountain, and now perceived something that made even his decrepit form tense with recognition. "What is this?" Mum-Ra's voice echoed through his tomb. "What power dares enter Third Earth? Without my knowledge." His clawed hand waved over the cauldron, and visions swirled in the dark water. He saw the crater, saw Wukong, saw the rejection of prophecy, and the casual display of immortal might. The ever-living's eyes widened, then narrowed with calculating interest. "Immortal," Mum-Ra whispered, tasting the word. "Truly immortal. Not bound by the ancient spirits, not controlled by destiny, not limited by Third Earth's laws." A smile spread across his mummified features. How useful. The ancient spirits of evil manifested above him. 4 spectral forms of pure malevolence, their voices speaking in unison. This being threatens the balance we maintain. Or, Mum-Ra counted carefully, he could be the key to breaking it. Imagine, a warrior who cannot die, who recognizes no authority, aimed at our enemies. He cannot be controlled. Perhaps not, Mum-Ra agreed, his mind already spinning schemes. But he can be negotiated with. Everyone wants something. even immortals. Back on Hook Mountain, Wukong suddenly looked toward the Black Pyramid, his supernatural senses detecting the attention focused upon him. His grin sharpened. "Oh, good," he said to no one in particular. "The actual interesting one just noticed me." Three days passed on Third Earth, and in that time, Sun Wukong accomplished the impossible. He made every faction question reality itself. It started simply enough. The morning after Hook Mountain, a caravan of Burbles traveling to trade with a distant village found their path blocked by rockslide, only to discover Wukong had already cleared the road and left a stack of perfectly cut timber as bonus. When they tried to thank him, he was gone. 2 hours later, that same timber appeared in the ThunderCats compound with a note written in characters nobody could read that somehow everyone understood. "You look like you needed repairs. You're welcome. The monkey." Lion-O stood in Cat's Lair's command center, staring at the lumber that had simply materialized inside their secured perimeter. "How did he get past our defenses?" "He didn't trigger a single sensor," Panthro admitted, reviewing footage that showed nothing but a brief golden blur. "It's like he's not entirely here when he moves." Tigra examined the note. The writing shifts. "Look, now it says, 'Stop trying to figure me out. It won't work.'" The Sword of Omens pulsed on Liano's hip, and he drew it reluctantly. "Sword of Omens, show me." The blade went dark, completely. The eye of Thundera, which had never failed to show truth, simply refused to look at Sun Wukong anymore, as if the sword itself had given up trying to understand him. "That's..." Chitara searched for words. "That's not possible." "Everything about him is impossible," Lion-O said quietly. "He exists outside every rule we know." Meanwhile, in Castle Plundar, the mutants were having their own crisis. Monkian had woken up with a massive headache and an uncharacteristic sense of humility. Slythe paced their command chamber, tail lashing in agitation. The ET scanners detected him near the Thundrillium Menace last night. Slythe hissed, gesturing at their crude monitoring equipment. But when we arrived, he was already gone, and look. He pulled up readings that made no sense. Half the Thundrillium was missing. Stolen. "Did he take it?" Vultureman asked, his analytical mind struggling with incomplete data. "No." Slythe's forked tongue flickered in confusion. "He left it in our storage bay, with another note. In our language this time." Jackalman held up the message, his hands trembling slightly. "It says, 'You wanted it, right? But you're using it wrong. Also, your security is terrible. A baby could break in. Sincerely, someone much better than you.'" Monkian, still nursing his wounded pride, growled, "He's mocking us." "Worse," Vultureman said, examining their inventory. "He's helping us. The Thundrillium is refined, pure, better quality than we could ever process. He stole it from the mines and improved it for us. Why?" Nobody had an answer. The Burbles discovered Wukong in their fields that afternoon, planting seeds with meticulous care. Bear Bill approached cautiously, noting that the Monkey King had somehow acquired Burble farming tools without asking. "You're helping?" Bear Bill ventured. "These rows were uneven," Wukong replied without looking up. "It bothered me. Also, your irrigation system has a flaw. The northwest corner gets too much water. I fixed it." He stood, dusting off his hands. "You're welcome. We didn't ask. So, Wukong's grin was challenging. I don't wait for permission to do what needs doing. He glanced at the burble. You're good people. You fed me, showed me kindness. I'm repaying that. Problem? No, but Robert Bill's sensors detected something. Did you steal those tools from our workshop? Borrowed, Wukong corrected. I'll return them. Probably. He stretched, his staff appearing in his hand from nowhere. Now what's this I hear about a book of omens that supposedly tells the future? It's sacred, Robert Bill said quickly. Contains prophecies and... where is it? The directness of the question made Robert Bill's circuits stutter. The ThunderCats guard it in Cat's Lair. It's one of the most protected... Wukong was already gone, a golden streak shooting across the sky toward the distant fortress. In the Black Pyramid, Mum-Ra watched these events unfold in his cauldron with growing fascination. The ancient spirits hovered above, their displeasure palpable. This being mocks order itself, one spirit intoned. He serves no master, another added. He cannot be controlled, a third warned. He refuses destiny, the fourth concluded. Mum-Ra's decrepit form leaned forward. Yes, precisely. His eyes glowed with anticipation, which means he's either the greatest threat to our plans or the perfect tool. A warrior who recognizes no authority can be convinced to oppose any authority, including those who would oppose us. You would bargain with chaos? I've bargained with worse, Mum-Ra replied, and won. He waved his hand over the cauldron, shifting the vision to show Wukong approaching Cat's Lair at impossible speed. Let's see how the ThunderCats handle him now, and then I'll make my offer. The ancient spirits said nothing, but their silence carried weight. They were watching, judging, waiting to see if Mum-Ra's gambit would strengthen their hold on Third Earth or shatter it entirely. At Cat's Lair, alarms began blaring. Panthro's voice echoed through the compound. Intruder! Fast-moving target approaching from... The sensors exploded in a shower of sparks as Wukong landed on the outer wall, staff planted casually as he surveyed the fortress. Nice place, Wukong called down to the scrambling ThunderCats. A bit too militaristic for my taste, but solid construction. Now, his grin widened. I heard you got a book that thinks it knows everything. I'd like to have a chat with it. Lion-O emerged, sword drawn but not raised. The Book of Omens is not for outsiders, for those unworthy, for people who don't respect prophecy. Wukong's laugh echoed across the compound. Perfect. That's exactly why I need to read it. The Book of Omens rested in Cat's Lair's sanctum, a chamber carved from ancient stone and reinforced with Thunderian technology. Sacred artifacts lined the walls, relics from their destroyed homeworld, each one a reminder of what they'd lost and what they fought to protect. The book itself sat on a pedestal of carved stone, its pages whispering with prophecies that had guided ThunderCats through countless trials. Wukong walked into the sanctum without opening the door. He simply appeared inside, as though walls were suggestions rather than barriers. Lion-O, who'd been racing through corridors to intercept him, skidded to a halt in the doorway to find the Monkey King, already standing before the book, hands clasped behind his back, studying it with the critical eye of someone evaluating a questionable artifact. Interesting construction, Wukong mused. Not quite mortal magic, not quite divine. Something in between. Very Third Earth. He reached toward it. Don't touch! Lion-O started. Wukong's finger pressed against the book's cover. Light exploded through the sanctum. Not the warm glow of prophecy, but something chaotic, fractured, as though the book itself was experiencing an existential crisis. Pages flipped wildly, faster than wind could account for. Images projected into the air, futures, pasts, presents all colliding. Timelines branching and dying and reforming. Prophecies written and unwritten and rewritten. And through it all, one constant. Wherever Sun Wukong appeared in the visions, everything became uncertain. Fascinating, Wukong said, completely unfazed by the chaos. It's trying to predict me, and failing. Look. He pointed at a vision that showed him fighting alongside the ThunderCats. There I am being heroic. The image shifted violently. And there I am stealing your stuff. Another shift. And there I am doing absolutely nothing, while everything burns. He grinned. It can't decide because I haven't decided. That's how free will works. The book's pages settled on a single image. Wukong standing at a crossroads with paths leading in every direction. Each one marked with symbols that shifted between light and shadow, order and chaos, salvation and destruction. Words appeared, written in ancient Thunderian script that somehow everyone present could read. The undefined variable. The choice that breaks prophecy. The freedom that defies destiny. Finally, Wukong said with satisfaction, a mystical artifact that admits it doesn't know everything. I like this book. He patted it affectionately, and the pages rippled like water. You broke it, Tigra said from the doorway, where he'd arrived with Panthro and Chitara. The Book of Omens has guided us for generations, and I didn't break it. I freed it. Wukong turned to face them. Your book was trapped trying to predict everything according to rigid rules. Now it knows some things can't be predicted. That's not broken. That's honest. The book's pages turned to a new entry, words forming as though written by invisible hand. He speaks truth. This one exists outside fate's design. Lion-O stared at the impossible words. The book agrees with you. Smart book, Wukong said. He started walking toward the exit, then paused. Oh, and you might want to check your western defense grid. There's a weakness in the third tower's foundation. Noticed it on my way in. How did you... Panthro began. Wukong was already gone, leaving only the faint scent of peaches and the echo of his laughter. The alarm systems blared again. Not for intrusion this time, but for readings that made no sense. Energy signatures appearing simultaneously across Third Earth. Panthro rushed to the command center, the others following. The holographic display showed chaos incarnate. He's everywhere, Chitara breathed. The screen showed Wukong in multiple locations at once, fighting off a pack of wild creatures threatening a Burble outpost, stealing supplies from a mutant patrol, then leaving better supplies in their place. Sitting atop Fire Rock Mountain eating fruit and watching the sunset. Swimming in the river of despair and somehow making the cursed waters laugh. Leaving mysterious gifts at neutral villages. Tools, food, weapons, all of unknown origin. Clones, Tigra suggested. Multiple versions of himself. Or he's moving so fast our systems can't track the sequence, Panthro countered. Lion-O gripped the Sword of Omens, which pulsed weakly, still recovering from its encounter with Wukong. He's making a point, showing us he can be anywhere, help anyone, hurt anyone at any time, that we have no control. In Castle Plundar, Slythe watched similar readings with growing frustration. His making us look like fools, helping us one moment, humiliating us the next. What does he want? Volcherman's answer was grim. I don't think he wants anything. That's what makes him dangerous. But in the Black Pyramid, Mun-Ra saw opportunity. His decrepit form straightened as much as ancient bones allowed. Enough observation. Time for action. He raised his arms and dark energy swirled through the chamber. Ancient spirits of evil, grant me the power to reach this chaotic being. Let him see what true immortality and true power can accomplish together. The four spirits manifested, their forms towering and terrible. You would extend invitation to one who rejects destiny? I would extend a recognition, Mun-Ra corrected. One immortal to another. Let him know he's not the only one who's conquered death. Let him know there are options on Third Earth. The spirits conferred in voices like grinding stone. Finally, very well, make your contact. But know this, if he cannot be controlled, he must be destroyed. There is no third path. Mun-Ra's grin was hideous and eager. We'll see about that. That night, as Wukong sat atop Cat's Lair's highest tower, uninvited and unbothered, watching Third Earth's twin, moons, a voice echoed through his mind. Ancient, powerful, amused. Greetings, great sage. I am Mun-Ra the Ever-Living. I believe we have much to discuss. Wukong's grin matched the darkness. Finally, someone interesting. The Black Pyramid stood against Third Earth's night sky, like a wound in reality, its dark stones absorbing moonlight rather than reflecting it. Wukong approached on foot this time, staff slung across his shoulders, walking with the casual confidence of someone who'd stormed the gates of heaven and lived to laugh about it. The entrance opened before he touched it, darkness spilling out like an invitation. Dramatic, Wukong called into the void. I like it. Inside, the pyramid was larger than physics should allow, corridors twisting into impossible geometries that would drive mortals mad. Wukong navigated them like he was strolling through a garden, occasionally pausing to examine ancient hieroglyphs or poke at magical traps with his staff. These wards are cute, he announced to the empty halls, dated but cute. The corridor opened into Mun-Ra's throne chamber, and there the ever-living waited. Not in his decrepit form, but transformed, muscular, powerful, wreathed in dark, energy that crackled with ancient malevolence. The ancient spirits of evil loomed above him, four spectral forms that radiated pure corruption. Wukong stopped, studied them, then grinned. Oh, good. You brought your bosses. Mun-Ra's eyes narrowed. Most beings cowered before the ancient spirits. This monkey seemed amused. You recognize what they are. Cosmic parasites that feed on fear and servitude. Wukong tilted his head. Yeah, we've got those back home. The Jade Emperor keeps a few chained up for entertainment. He looked directly at the spirits. You four are stronger than those, though. More refined, better presentation. Still parasites. The chamber trembled with the spirit's rage. Mortal speaks blasphemy. Immortal, Wukong corrected cheerfully. Get it right. I died and came back so many times that death filed a restraining order. I'm more immortal than your host here, and definitely more immortal than you, since I don't need worshippers to exist. Mun-Ra raised a hand, silencing the spirit's building fury. Fascinating. You truly fear nothing. I fear plenty, Wukong replied, suddenly serious. Being caged, being controlled, being told my choices don't matter. His grin returned. But scary-looking spirits in a pyramid? Not so much. Then why did you come? Curiosity. You're the first being on this world who's actually old enough to be interesting. Everyone else is children playing with power they don't understand. Wukong planted his staff. So talk. What's the offer? Mum-Ra descended from his throne, dark power swirling around him. You and I are alike, immortal, powerful, bound by neither death nor destiny. We've both defied cosmic order and won. I'm listening. This world is trapped in eternal stalemate. ThunderCats and their code of honor, mutants and their petty schemes, kingdoms and their foolish laws. Mum-Ra's voice grew persuasive. Ancient charisma wielded like a weapon. Neither truly strong nor truly free, they maintain balance, stagnation disguised as peace. And you want to tip the scales, Wukong finished. Classic immortal dictator pitch. I've heard it before. Have you heard it from another who conquered death itself? Mum-Ra countered. Who transformed from mortal to eternal through sheer will and dark knowledge? We understand each other, great sage. We know that rules exist to be broken by those strong enough. Wukong walked closer, and even the ancient spirits seemed to tense. You're not wrong about any of it, really. The ThunderCats are rigid. The balance is boring. And yes, his eyes gleamed. We're both proof that immortality belongs to those who take it. Mum-Ra smiled, thinking he'd won, then joined. But here's the thing. Wukong's staff appeared in his hand, spinning lazily. You serve them. He pointed at the ancient spirits. You traded freedom for power. Made yourself eternal, but shackled. That's not conquering death. That's just changing masters. The chamber's temperature dropped. Mum-Ra's transformation flickered slightly. I serve no one. We have an arrangement. An arrangement where they can take your power away if you displease them. Wukong observed. I heard them say it earlier. If he cannot be controlled, he must be destroyed. They were talking about me, but the same applies to you, doesn't it? He laughed. You're on a leash, ever-living. A long one, sure, but still a leash. Mum-Ra's hands clenched, dark energy crackling. The ancient spirit's forms grew larger, more menacing. Enough, they thundered in unison. The monkey mocks what he cannot comprehend. We offer power beyond what? Imagination. Wukong's voice cut through their pronouncement like a blade. I've got 72 transformations, 5 different immortalities, and I can pull weapons from nowhere. What exactly are you offering that I don't already have? Purpose, the spirit said. Direction, meaning to eternal existence. I give myself purpose. Wukong replied. That's what freedom means. And unlike your pet mummy here, I don't need cosmic horror landlords approving my choices. Mum-Ra's patience shattered. You dare. He launched a blast of dark energy that could have leveled mountains. Wukong caught it. Just reached out and grabbed the energy with his bare hand, holding the destructive force like it was a ball. He examined it critically. Powerful, efficient. Someone else's magic running through you. He crushed it. Dark energy dissipating harmlessly. Derivative. The ever-living transformed further, drawing more power from the ancient spirits, growing larger and more monstrous. I am Mum-Ra. I have existed for millennia. I have brought civilizations to ruin. And I fought the armies of heaven, stole from gods, and proved that one free being matters more than all their cosmic order. Wukong's staff extended, matching Mum-Ra's size increase. Want to see how that works out for you? Before violence could erupt, a new alarm echoed through the pyramid, and through Cat's Lair and Castle Plundar simultaneously. Every faction's warning system screamed the same message. Multiple hostiles approaching Third Earth from space. Unknown vessels. Massive energy signatures. Not from any known faction. Wukong's expression shifted from combative to intrigued. Well, this just got interesting. The sky above Third Earth tore open for the second time in a week, but this arrival was no accident. 3 massive vessels descended through the atmosphere, their hulls black as void, decorated with symbols that predated most civilizations. They weren't ships. They were mobile fortresses, each one bristling with weapons that had conquered 100 worlds. In Cat's lair, Panthro's sensors overloaded, trying to process the readings. Energy signatures off the scale. Technology centuries beyond anything on Third Earth. They're broadcasting on all frequencies. The transmission crackled through every communications device on the planet simultaneously. A voice, cold and absolute, spoke in a language that somehow everyone understood. Third Earth, you harbor an escaped prisoner. Surrender Sun Wukong to the Celestial Enforcement Bureau, or be classified as hostile territory. Lion-O's blood ran cold. They followed him here. In the Black Pyramid, Mum-Ra's confrontation with Wukong froze. The ever-living stared at his unexpected guest with new understanding. You're a fugitive. From where? Heaven, Wukong said casually, though his grip on his staff tightened. Well, technically I'm pardoned. Buddha himself vouched for me after the whole journey to the West thing. But some bureaucrats never got the memo. He grinned, but it had edges. Or they're ignoring it because they're still mad about the property damage. The ancient spirit's forms contracted, pulling back from direct confrontation. This changes the equation. You think? Wukong shot back. He moved to the pyramid's highest window, looking up at the descending vessels. The Celestial Enforcement Bureau. They're like heaven's cleanup crew, sent to retrieve problems and bring them back for processing. His fingers made air quotes around the words. The lead vessel's weapons charged with light that made Third Earth's twin moons seem dim by comparison. Final warning, surrender the prisoner. At Cat's lair, the ThunderCats assembled in emergency formation. Chitara's sensors tracked the weapon systems locking onto every major settlement. They're targeting population centers. If they fire, millions die. Tigra finished grimly. Lion-O gripped the Sword of Omens, feeling its power pulse uncertainly. We can't fight that. The technology alone. We fight anyway, Panthro growled. It's what we do. But before orders could be given, a golden streak shot across Third Earth's sky. Wukong, riding his cloud at impossible speed, positioned himself between the vessels and the planet below. His voice, amplified by techniques that made Third Earth's technology seem like whispers, boomed across the heavens. Enforcement Bureau, Sun Wukong here. If you want me, come get me, but leave this world out of it. The lead vessel's commander appeared in holographic projection, a being of pure energy contained in crystalline armor, its form humanoid, but clearly not human. Great sage equal to heaven. You were granted pardon contingent on service. You failed to report for assigned duties. This constitutes breach of celestial law. Assigned duties? Wukong's laugh echoed across continents. You mean being heaven's errand boy? Doing bureaucratic busywork to prove my reformation? He spun his staff, and even through dimensional distances, the gesture carried threat. I completed the journey to the west, helped a monk bring scriptures across a continent, earned enlightenment. The Buddha himself said I was free. Buddha's authority does not supersede administrative procedure. The commander replied with bureaucratic coldness. Report for processing or be retrieved by force. Third option, Wukong countered. You leave, now, before I demonstrate why heaven needed 5 armies and Buddha himself to stop me last time. In Castle Plundar, Slythe watched the confrontation with calculating eyes. The monkey's enemies have come for him. We could simply let them take him. And let alien invaders think Third Earth is weak. Vultureman's sensors track the weapons still aimed at their world. They're threatening us too, using us as leverage. Monkian, surprisingly, growled agreement. Nobody threatens our world, not even for Monkey who beat me. The Enforcement Bureau's patience expired. Compliance period ended, initiating retrieval protocols. Beams of pure energy lance from all 3 vessels, converging on Wukong's position. The light was blinding, enough power to atomize mountains. When it cleared, Wukong stood on his cloud, completely unharmed, brushing imaginary dust off his armor. That tickled, he announced. My turn. His staff extended, growing from handheld weapon to pillar that stretched from ground to sky. Wukong swung it in an arc that seemed lazy, almost casual. The resulting shockwave hit all 3 vessels simultaneously, sending them spinning through Third Earth's upper atmosphere, like leaves in a hurricane. I've fought gods, Wukong called out to the reeling ships. I've battled demon kings. I've stood against heaven's greatest warriors. His voice dropped, becoming something primordial and dangerous. You're bureaucrats with fancy ships, not even close to my weight class. The vessels stabilized, weapons charging for another assault. But before they could fire, something unexpected happened. The Thunder Tank's main cannon fired from the surface, striking one vessel's shield generator. The shot was calculated. Not enough to destroy, but enough to get attention. Lion-O's voice transmitted on all frequencies. Enforcement Bureau, this is Lion-O, Lord of the ThunderCats. Sun Wukong is under Third Earth's protection. You want him? You go through us. From Castle Plundar, Slith's transmission followed. And us. We don't like him either, but he's our problem. From the Black Pyramid, dark energy surged skyward. Mum-Ra's power, visible and terrifying. The Ever-Living's voice boomed, I am Mum-Ra, this world is mine to conquer or protect as I choose. No outside force dictates terms here. Wukong stared down at Third Earth, at the impossible sight of enemies united in defiance, and for the first time since arriving, he seemed genuinely surprised. Huh, he said quietly. Didn't see that coming. The Enforcement Bureau commander's hologram flickered, recalculating. Native forces interfere with retrieval operation. Escalation authorized. The vessel's main weapons, planet killers held in reserve, began charging with light that turned night to day. Wukong's surprise transformed into fury. You threatened them because of me? His staff shrunk back to normal size and he gripped it with both hands. Wrong move. The aftermath of the Enforcement Bureau's retreat should have brought peace. Instead, it brought something far worse. The ancient spirits of evil had watched Wukong humiliate celestial authorities, unite Third Earth's factions, and openly mock cosmic order itself. They had witnessed a being who existed completely outside their ability to influence or predict. For entities that sustained themselves on control and fear, Sun Wukong represented an existential threat. The sky turned crimson. Not sunset. This was something primal, as though Third Earth's atmosphere itself had become blood. The twin moons darkened. Every magical being on the planet felt it simultaneously. The ancient spirits were manifesting directly into the physical realm. In Cat's lair, the sword of Omen shrieked a warning, its eye blazing with terrified light. Lion-O grabbed it, feeling the weapon's pure panic. What's happening? The Book of Omens tore itself open, pages flipping wildly until settling on a single phrase written in letters that burned. The old powers wake. The unbindable must be bound. The free must be chained. At Hook Mountain, Wukong looked up at the crimson sky and sighed. Can't anyone take a hint? The four ancient spirits materialized above Third Earth as they never had before. Not as distant entities granting power through proxies, but as themselves. Massive beyond comprehension. Forms that hurt to perceive directly. Voices that shook the planet's core. Sun Wukong, bearer of 5 immortalities. Defier of heaven. You threaten the balance we maintain across dimensions. I threaten your control, Wukong corrected, staff appearing in his hands. That's different. You cannot serve. You cannot be guided. You cannot be destroyed. This is unacceptable. Lives full of disappointments, Wukong replied. Deal with it. The spirit's response was immediate and terrible. Reality itself bent around Wukong, chains forming from pure cosmic authority. Not physical bonds, but metaphysical ones. The kind that bound demons to pacts, that forced devils into servitude, that made even gods obey. Wukong felt them tightening around his essence, around his immortalities, around his very will. And he laughed. Oh, you poor things, he said, his voice carrying genuine pity. You really think you're the first to try this? His body blazed gold, and the chains began to crack. Lao Tzu tried to refine me in his furnace. 49 days of cosmic fire meant to break my will and remake me as an obedient servant. The chains shattered further. I came out with golden eyes and a bad attitude. The spirits pressed harder, drawing on power that had subjugated entire civilizations. You will serve, or you will cease. The Jade Emperor tried to bind me with the tightening fillet, a circlet that caused agony when I disobeyed. Wukong's hand touched the golden band on his brow, the one placed by Buddha himself. Know what I did? Completed my redemption arc so thoroughly that even Buddha had to admit the binding was unnecessary. It stays on because I let it. Reminder that even cosmic restraints are just accessories when you're truly free. The chains multiplied, reality itself becoming a cage. Every ancient spirit focused their full power on breaking this impossible being. Wukong's staff extended, shattering through metaphysical bonds like they were cobwebs. Buddha himself, actual enlightened Buddha, put me under a mountain for 500 years. 500 years. You know what that taught me? His grin was terrifying. That patience is just another form of defiance. That waiting for freedom is still choosing freedom. That nothing can break someone who refuses to be broken. He performed a transformation, body multiplying into 72 Wukongs, each one attacking the spirit's manifestations from different angles. I've died and returned, been erased from existence and written myself back. Conquered every form of death your cosmic order could invent. The clones merge back. Wukong's power concentrated. You want to bind me? You're not strong enough. You want to destroy me? Death gave up trying. You want to control me? His staff struck the ground, and the shockwave rippled across dimensions. The ancient spirit's manifestations flickered, their power meeting resistance they'd never encountered. I am free. The words carried weight beyond sound, beyond meaning. They were declaration and truth, and fact woven together. Sun Wukong had fought heaven itself, and proven that one being's choice mattered more than cosmic inevitability. He had demonstrated that rules only applied to those who accepted them. He had become living proof that freedom, once truly claimed, could never be taken away. The ancient spirits recoiled, their certainty shaken for the first time in eons. Impossible. All things serve, all things bow, all things follow order. Except me, Wukong said simply. That's the point. That's what makes me dangerous to you. Not my power, my choice. You need things to be predictable, controllable, part of your grand design. I'm none of those things. I'm the variable that breaks every equation. The chaos that proves order isn't inevitable. The freedom that makes your authority optional. He pointed his staff at them, and for the first time, the ancient spirits felt something they'd inflicted on countless others. Fear. So here's how this works, Wukong continued. You leave Third Earth alone. You leave me alone. You go back to wherever you lurk and accept that some beings can't be added to your collection. Because if you don't, his eyes blaze with power, earned through trials that would destroy gods. I'll do to you what I did to heaven. I'll prove you're not inevitable. I'll demonstrate that even ancient spirits can be defied. And I'll make sure every being in every dimension knows it. The spirit's forms wavered, ancient calculations running through timeless minds. Finally, they spoke, and their voices carried something new. Respect, grudging and bitter. Freedom absolute, will unbreakable. You have earned your defiance. They withdrew, reality snapping back to normal crimson sky, fading to natural night. Wukong landed at Hook Mountain, where every faction still waited, having watched a single being face down cosmic entities and win. That, he announced, was satisfying. Dawn broke over Third Earth with the cautious optimism of a world that had survived the impossible. The ancient spirits had withdrawn. The Enforcement Bureau had retreated, and Sun Wukong sat atop Cat's Lair's highest tower, eating a peach that definitely wasn't from Third Earth while watching the sunrise. Lion-O climbed to join him, the Sword of Omens quiet on his hip. The weapon had finally stopped trying to categorize the Monkey King, accepting what the Book of Omens had already concluded. Some beings existed outside prophecy's reach. You saved us, Lion-O said, settling beside the immortal warrior. Twice now, once from the Bureau, once from the spirits. I saved myself. Wukong corrected, but his tone lacked its usual sharp edge. You just happened to be in the blast radius. And you'd helped first, so... He shrugged, taking another bite of his peach. Will they return? The spirits? Eventually. Cosmic entities have long memories and longer grudges. Wukong's golden eyes reflected the rising sun. But not soon. I proved they can't bind me, can't kill me, can't control me. That's a philosophical crisis for beings who've spent eons believing they're inevitable. They'll need time to process that their entire worldview has a monkey-shaped hole in it. Lion-O smiled despite himself. And the Enforcement Bureau? Oh, they'll file reports for decades. Heaven's bureaucracy makes your code of thunderer look spontaneous. Wukong finished his peach and tossed the pit into the air, where it vanished. But Buddha's pardon stands. They know it. I know it. Everyone knows it. They were trying to intimidate me into compliance. Didn't work. Because you can't be intimidated. Because I choose not to be intimidated, Wukong corrected. Important distinction. It's not that I'm fearless. I just refuse to let fear make my decisions for me. Below them, Third Earth was stirring to life. Burbles emerged from their village to begin rebuilding damage from the previous night's cosmic disturbance. In the distance, mutant patrols moved with their usual chaotic energy, already planning new schemes. Somewhere in the Black Pyramid, Mum-Ra contemplated this new variable in his eternal calculations. What happens now? Lion-O asked the question everyone wanted answered. You said you're staying. For how long? Wukong stood, stretching with feline grace. Until I'm bored. Could be weeks, could be years. Time doesn't mean much when you're immortal. He looked at Lion-O seriously. But understand something, I'm not joining the ThunderCats. I'm not becoming Third Earth's protector. I'm not following your code or anyone else's rules. I know, Lion-O said. But you'll help. When it matters. Maybe, Wukong grinned. Depends on my mood. Depends on whether the fight's interesting. Depends on whether innocent people need protecting from their own stupidity or others' malice. He started walking toward the tower's edge. I'm not your ally, Lion-O, but I'm not your enemy either. I'm something you don't have a category for, and that's exactly how I like it. The sword showed me visions of you, Lion-O admitted, before it gave up trying to predict you. I saw futures where you stood with us, where you opposed us, where you did nothing while everything burned. Every possible choice. And Wukong paused at the edge. And I realized the sword wasn't showing prophecy. It was showing possibilities. That you could make any choice in any moment because nothing forces your hand. Lion-O stood as well. That's what scares people about you. Not your power, your freedom. Wukong's expression softened slightly. Something almost like respect flickering across his features. You're smarter than you look, young lord. Yeah, that's exactly what terrifies everyone. I prove that destiny is optional, that rules are suggestions, that cosmic order is just another form of control. He stepped into empty air, balancing on nothing. And I proved it by being better at their game than they ever imagined possible. Will you teach me? The question surprised both of them. Lion-O pressed on. Not to be like you. I'm bound by the code of Thundera, by responsibility to my people, but to understand how to maintain freedom within duty, how to choose honor without being enslaved by it. Wukong studied him with ancient eyes. That's actually a good question. Most people ask me to make them powerful. You're asking me to help you stay free while carrying responsibility. He grinned. I like it. Tell you what, I'll think about it. Maybe drop some wisdom on you when you least expect it. Maybe just steal your food and leave cryptic notes. Haven't decided yet. That's all I can ask. Smart lion. Wukong summoned his cloud, preparing to depart. Now, I've got a whole planet to explore. Ancient ruins to investigate, powerful beings to annoy, impossible fights to pick. Third Earth is way more interesting than heaven ever was. You've got actual challenges here instead of just stuffy bureaucrats. He started to leave, then paused. Oh, and tell your friends, the mutants, Mum-Ra, whoever, that what happened here changes nothing. I still don't serve anyone. Still don't bow to anyone. Still make my own choices. But his grin sharpened. They stood up for me against the Bureau. That counts for something. When they really need me, and I mean really, not just convenient, I might show up. Might. Wukong confirmed cheerfully. That's what keeps life interesting. He shot into the sky on his cloud, golden streak across Third Earth's dawn, already laughing at some private joke. Lion-O watched him go, then returned to Cat's Lair's command center, where his team waited. "Well?" Panthro asked. "What did he say?" "That he'll do whatever he wants," Lion-O replied. But he was smiling, and somehow that's exactly what Third Earth needs. In the days that followed, Sun Wukong became Third Earth's most unpredictable legend. He appeared without warning to help burble farmers, then vanished for days. He stole Thundrillium from mutant stockpiles only to use it to repair villages they'd raided. He broke into Cat's Lair regularly, not to steal, but to leave gifts, critiques of their security, and increasingly absurd challenges. Mum-Ra watched from his pyramid, ancient mind calculating. The Monkey King was chaos incarnate, but chaos could be useful. Perhaps not as an ally, but as a force that kept everyone else off balance. And sometimes that was enough. The ThunderCats adapted to their new reality. A world-class warrior who answered to no one living among them. Unpredictable, powerful, and absolutely free. The mutants learned painful lessons about respect, usually delivered via Wukong's staff to Monkion's head. And Wukong himself found something unexpected on Third Earth. A place chaotic enough to interest him, powerful enough to challenge him, and strange enough to keep him entertained. He defied heaven, conquered death, and rejected destiny itself. Third Earth, with its impossible blend of magic and technology, honor and treachery, prophecy and choice, was exactly the kind of place where someone like him could thrive. He still refused to bow to any king, still rejected every prophecy written about him, still made choices based on nothing but his own will. And Third Earth, whether it realized it or not, was better for it. Because freedom, true, absolute, uncompromising freedom, had arrived. And it wore the grin of a monkey who made gods negotiate. Thunder, thunder, thunder. ThunderCats, ho! More stories await.